Awesome. Well, thank you everybody who has joined us today. My name is Jess. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the Programs and Services Manager here at the UFV Student Union Society. I'd just like to start off by saying that I would like to acknowledge that the UFV Student Union Society is located on the ancestral homelands of the Halkomelem speaking Stolo Nation. We'd like to extend our appreciation for the opportunity to live and work and learn on this territory. So for today's event, we've chosen to go with the webinar format to allow our guests to have their cameras off and just to enjoy our speakers for today. This will also allow you to ask any questions. So as you can see on the bottom of your toolbar there, there's the Q&A section. So if you do have any questions throughout the event, please feel free just to drop those in that section there and we'll be sure to get to those. We also have closed captioning available for today's event. So just again, on the bottom of your toolbar there should be a little CC icon that you can click to turn that on. So as we've learned in the past with some of our previous events, the closed captioning is not always that accurate and it likes to toss in the casual swear word that was not actually spoken, but apparently it sounds like that. So if there is any clarification needed on that at all, please just reach out to one of our events team members and we're happy to provide that for you. Also, this session is going to be recorded today. So for any students that weren't able to make it to the live session, we will be posting this online for convenience. And so if you do want to share these resources with anybody, keep an eye out on our website for that. So without further ado, I'd love to just jump right into it and introduce you to some of our panelists that we have today. So starting off with Bonnie. Bonnie is from the UFV Counseling Department, and they have joined us today to provide support for any students who may be needing that. Also, we would just love to start this kind of working relationship with the Counseling Department, just to kind of remind students that there are lots of really great services available to them. So if you do want any more information about that, we've dropped a link in the chat there. So I will just quickly let Bonnie say hi.
Hi, everyone. My name is Bonnie, pronouns they, them, she, her. I'm calling in today from Abbotsford UFV campus, actually. So the Stolo Nation here on Turtle Island. And so, yeah, some background information about our counseling department. Students who are UFV, if you're registered for classes, even if you're not registered for classes in the summer, if you're planning to return in the fall, you have access to counseling services, which are typically priced around $120 a session outside of, UFV, which gets pretty pricey pretty quickly. And so it's included in your student fees. We've got counselors available. In the before times, it was in person. Now we are, connecting with students virtually through Zoom or through the phone, if that is what you prefer. We typically have counselors available on Chilliwack campus as well as Abbotsford campus. We're here Monday to Friday, 8:30 to 4:30 for the purpose of today's webinar. I am available if you want to message the chat. I'm not sure exactly if they're able to direct message panelists. They are? Okay. So if you, want to check in, I am available. If you're wanting to connect with a counselor outside of this panel, depending on if you're watching this later on, we also have counselors available on crisis call Monday to Friday. So sending an email to our front desk, ssfrontdesk@ufv.ca. We'll type that into the chat there. You can also connect with them to get connected with somebody there. And yeah, really glad to be here and support in whichever way I can.
Thanks so much, Bonnie. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Next, I'm going to jump over to our good friends, Bradley and Ashley, joining us today from the UFV Peer Resource Student Leadership Center. I'll start off with lovely Ashley. So Ashley Wardhall uses she, her pronouns, is a student affairs professional and a sexual health educator who lives and works on the ancestral lands of the Stolo people. Ashley completed her Bachelor's of Arts degree from the University of the Fraser Valley in 2016 and has plans to start her Master's of Counseling Psychology program at SFU next year. She's very passionate about harm reduction, reproductive justice, and teaching people the importance of pronouns. Thank you so much for joining us, Ashley.
Absolutely. Do you want me to add to that? Because that was very comprehensive.
If you would like to, but don't feel obliged.
I just wanted to, because it's not in my little bio, just to say that I am coming to this panel and to this world as a cisgender straight female. And so I am not a member of the queer community, and I think that's really important to put out there, but I do strive for allyship in whatever ways possible. So I just wanted to put that out there. And then also just a little bit about the Coast Capital Peer Resource and Leadership Center, because folks aren't really familiar with what it is, though we've been around forever. But we offer one-on-one peer support, so students can connect with fellow students about shared experiences, lived experiences. We are working on doing a lot of community building, coming back after a pandemic, because like shit's been hard, y'all. We get it. So like come back and meet some humans in real life. It will be great. We focus a lot on mental health programming, and we also oversee naloxone, harm reduction, huge piece, sexual health. That's going to be a thing that's coming up. And then I also oversee the food bank program, kind of off the side of my desk. So
Love it.
we do a lot of cool stuff, and so I'll always like to share.
So much love for our student life team. Thank you for adding that.
You're welcome.
Next, I've got Bradley, not Brad. Bradley is an international student for about 5 years now in Canada. And growing up with an enormous sense of curiosity in Vietnam taught him how to mask his feelings, his expressions, and eventually himself. So he assumed that he would experience a lot of negative views, reaction, and hostility based on his gender identity if he were visible. And for the longest time, he was okay kind of being in the background, but his light had sort of dimmed away for others and kind of let them shine. But he didn't actually know what pride was until he met his friends in high school. They were an amazing group of really understanding and supportive allies, and they really just accepted him and loved him unconditionally. So by his side, he was constantly learning about this new contentment, and they showed him what love was, how love is power, love is healing, and really taught him to be inclusive and helped him to be considerate and confident and be proud of who he was. He's very proud of where he is now and proud to be a part of the 2S LGBTQ plus community, and is really, really hoping to bring some more love and acceptance to the UFV community. So Bradley, thank you so much for joining us as well today. We're really looking forward to having you.
Thank you, Jessica. I think that introduction is quite comprehensive already, but I would like to add that my pronouns are he, him, his, but anything really with good attentions. And I am here to represent the Peer Resources and Leadership Center as a 2S LGBTQ plus student assistant. And I would like to spread love and healing to everyone, every student in the UFV community.
Thank you, Bradley. Appreciate it. Next, I'm going to jump over to Jazz from Health Initiative for Men. So Jazz is an outreach program coordinator for the Fraser region, and he has worked with the Health Initiative for Men for the last 3 years, and beforehand was volunteering with him. Jazz is a first-generation Indo-Canadian, and being a queer individual, his work focuses on providing resources and programs for the community at large. So pre-COVID, Jazz helped with STI clinics in the Fraser Valley, New West, Surrey, Abbotsford areas, along with helping with workshops and programs promoting through the Fraser region. His working goals are to provide others who may be struggling with their intersectionality and identity and how they fit into the community. So thank you so much for joining us today, Jazz.
No, thank you for having me. And that pretty much covers everything I do. But yeah, beyond that, yeah, I'm part of the LGBTQ community, and being first generation Indo-Canadian, I know a lot of individuals who actually come here for school do struggle with their sexuality, and they don't realize where or how they belong till they come here. So we try our best to provide as much as we can for anybody and everybody under the queer spectrum. I know we say Health Initiative for Men or HIM, and people are like, oh my God, pronoun. But we do our best to be as inclusive as possible.
Amazing. Thanks so much, Jazz. And lastly, we have Simi Chima from Close Look. So Simi was born in Punjab as an army brat, moved frequently and lived in many parts of India where she learned to speak Punjabi, Hindi, and English. Simi's career as a performer began at age 11 when she played the starring role in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. An accomplished sitar player and vocalist, Simi's education was focused on the fine arts, for which she won scholarships. She loves adventure and has traveled extensively before falling in love with BC and moving to Canada. Unbiased opinion, I also love BC. Her broadcasting career took off in 1995, and she began hosting her own programs after which her distinctive style and melodic voice immediately won her listeners over. So she is currently working as a radio host on RJ1200 and also part-time support worker for abused women and children. She has a segment on Omni as well, and she believes that everyone is born with a special gift that they have to share with the world. Her true passion lies in directing and producing close look and Desi look shows, and she strongly believes that if you can conceive it, you can achieve it. And once again, we've dropped the link in the chat there for folks if they'd like to check out the organization a bit further. And Simi, if you have anything you'd love to add to that introduction, please feel free to now. We're very grateful that Simi was able to join us today. I know that there are a couple of tech issues. There was a mishap with her ferry coming home yesterday, so she has hopped on from a friend's place and is joining us. There you are, Simi. Thank you so much. And I think you're just on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
So yes, I would like to add something to that. Thank you so much for the introduction, and I'm so grateful to be part of this panel. I think I have very small to contribute, but it's up to you guys how you want to take it and where you want to take it. I am representing non-profit agency. It's called Close Look Productions, and we started this agency in 2010. Why I started this? Because with being a radio host and coming to Canada as a nanny, I always felt there's something more that I need to contribute. And that's when I came up with an idea that youth or children, when they are young, they have so much to say, which parents don't have either time or they don't accept it. So how can we hear them? How can we ask them to be part of our journey, our life journey, and in the community? How can we embrace them and go hand in hand? That's when we started Close Look, and this platform was started for younger generation to showcase their talents, their opinions, their views, and it's a production. And later on, we started publication also, which again focuses on youth. So our platform provides them sort of ways to showcase their talent. Not only that, to talk about societal issues, which is very important. And this is one of them. So I felt the need that we have to accept everybody the way they are. I was always criticized in the family, being a girl, gender, not only that, my looks, my complexion. And I had seen that in the society also in India. I was born and brought up in a village where this was, and caste system and everything. So when I came here, I was so grateful that we are in this country where we are working based on, it's a diverse platform, diverse environment, and we are able to present ourselves. We are able to embrace ourselves the way we are. So to me, this was very important, that we have to accept everybody the way they are. So that is why we did one issue of magazine, Close Look magazine, which was born this way. And our main
Oh, I think you might have hit mute, Simi.
with us and said that I am South Asian, I am gay. I have told to my parents, and this is their reaction. And now I'm ready to speak up for myself. So that was my reward, that yes, it's reaching out, and our platform is reaching out to those people. So that's what we do. Our podcast, our live stream, our TV shows, our magazine, it's that platform welcomes everybody who wants to come, and through these platforms, they want to express themselves. Thank you so much.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Simi. I really appreciate that. So I'm just going to quickly go over the format for today. So what we're going to be doing is asking our panelists a series of questions. At the end of this event, for those in attendance, we will be doing a prize draw. So we've got a gift card to the a really amazing little gem in Abbotsford called the Boardwalk Cafe, which is located right in downtown Abbotsford. So we decided to go with this establishment for our prize today, just because of their commitment to inclusive environment and diversity. So we've included in the chat there a link to the Boardwalk's inclusion and diversity statement, just if you'd like a little bit more information on that. And other than that, like I said, if there's any questions, feel free to pop those in the chat, but we will go ahead and get started. So our panelists all had a great introduction and kind of mentioned some of the work that each of their organizations did or does and is ongoing. So I'm just wondering, I'm going to jump over to Jazz to start off with. So Jazz, what programs and services do you offer to support the 2S LGBTQ+ community?
Wow, thank you for asking. So at Health Industry for Men, we've been around for almost 13 years. Through that time frame, we've had to adjust and change how we present ourselves and how programs we present. One thing that we found really common was for folks to do sort of physical activity. So we do a lot of like physical programs. The main popular one we have is yoga. Beyond that, we do something called condom packaging. I wish I had a little condom package with me, but like we basically have folks just sit down around a big table where we package these little condom packages where we put condoms and lubricant and then sticky it up with information about our health centers, our website, and everything like that. And then beyond that, we do all these other social events. So we do something called Connections. We have another program that's for BIPOC individuals called Life in Color. We basically try to cover as much as we can. We are going through a gender audit right now. So we're trying to be more inclusive for non-binary trans individuals as well. We do recognize, yes, we are Health Industry for Men, HIM, pronoun, etc. So we're trying to be more inclusive, be more aware of people may not identify on that spectrum of pronouns of he, him, or she, her. So yeah, we're just continuously trying to progress ourselves. We do a lot of community-based programming. We do a lot of host support models and try our best to make sure that communities are helping communities. So just because we're in Vancouver or Surrey doesn't mean that we know exactly what people in South Surrey want or folks in Coquitlam, Coquitlam and Cloverdale would want. So we want people in those communities to come to us and be like, hey, I have an idea for a group. Can we do it here in this area, this rec center? So we do a lot of those kind of groups right now. Well, post-pandemic, currently kind of working on it and hopefully be able to do it again once everything goes back to normal.
Awesome, thank you. And Ashley and or Bradley, I'll pass it over to you folks just to chat a little bit. Same question of what work you do specifically to support the 2S LGBTQ+ community.
I'll start first, and if I miss anything, Ashley, feel free to add it for me. Thank you. I believe that UFV continually work on being a welcoming, accessible, safe, and respectful place to study and develop as people and professional. And by holding events like this to spark up meaningful and inspiring conversation for the community and bring the allies, the members together by community building and collaboration. And as a new 2S LGBT student assistant, I am super excited to enhance the queer community capacity in UFV by bringing more people together and making these type of services more accessible to students and everyone.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Love that.
So I'll give you a little bit more background. So UFV traditionally has pride and queer support has kind of gone like this. Whoop, 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 whoop. So depending on who cares, who's a member of the community, that's just kind of the way it's been. And so as a student of UFV and then as a staff member starting in 2016, I was like, there needs to be maybe a little bit of consistency because we're not supporting students the way we need to. That started out with us becoming a sponsor for Israeli Pride. And so having a presence there every year, partnering with SUS for a lot of different queer-friendly events. and just really taking the time to actually like listen to students and what they need. And similar to what Jazz was saying, like we get a lot of international students, first gen students that like, or just students who have come from afar and finally have that chance to like explore themselves, explore their identity, maybe actually put like a word or a label, whatever you want to call it, on like what they've been feeling or experiencing. And so that validation piece is so huge. And then once there's that realization, then it's like, okay, now how can we support you? Like what else is out there? And so that's a huge thing. And so that's part of what Bradley's working on, is like getting all these people together to like form community and be able to get these like supports that they need. And so as far as like a staff perspective, I worked with a student and we created a workshop called Creating Dependable Allies, which was all about, mostly about like language. Like, here is some of the like common terminology that you might hear. Here's what it means, different like sexual and gender identities, and really like pronouns. I will die on this hill. Pronouns are so important. And so really just emphasizing like, here's how to use them. Don't give me that like they, them is improper language. Like we're not going there. So that's a huge part of kind of what I do. And then Jess and I have talked about this in great detail, but I did my sexual health educator programming through Options for Sexual Health over the pandemic, which was like real weird, but super cool. And so having a plethora of sexual health products available on campus for either like free or low to no cost, and making sure that all of those items are super inclusive for all identities, all bodies, and making sure that people are getting not only the products that they need, but also the information on how to use them safely. So people can like explore their bodies and their sexuality in whatever the way they want without maybe having to like Google and get maybe some like not so great info. So that's kind of what I'm working on. But yeah, Bradley and I we're in cahoots to make things better for UFV students once we're back on campus, you know, in the after times, whatever that may look like. And also Nemo agrees.
Yes.
He's very,
I'm a big fan of all of Ashley's pets that usually join us on our video calls. And I can attest to the fun that Student Life has, especially in this topic. I have seen Ashley's new autonomy pillows that she's got. They are a riot. So yeah, if you ever want to stop by and chat with them, they've got lots and lots of fun stuff going on. Simi, I just want to turn it over to you for our next question. And you briefly kind of touched on it in your introduction, but I was just wondering, can you share with us some ways that folks, both in the community and allies, can get involved in these different programs, and specifically with Close Look? And I think you're on mute right now. Good old Zoom.
Oh my goodness.
There you are.
Is that okay? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, you're good to go.
Okay. Well, I think this platform, like I mentioned, that we have TV shows, magazine, live stream, podcast, and how everyone can get involved is through interviews. That's one. Then having your own show, because this podcast, we offer it to everybody and anybody who thinks they can motivate, empower others. So it's a free platform to everyone. We welcome everyone. If they want a host to if they want a co-host, we can provide that. We can have articles in the magazine, Close Look magazine. And I myself distribute the magazine across BC. I take it to libraries, I take it to universities, colleges, and cafes, few cafes. We can record your event or your contributions or your programs, because we want your information to get out there, because people who are still hiding themselves They haven't come to acceptance who they are. Once they realize who they are and what their sexual orientation is, then we bring them to these platforms. We tell them these platforms are available. This information is available, and I think media is the best place to promote this message across to those people, and then just have them participate wherever they feel comfortable. I have seen in the beginning, they're only comfortable in writing about things or themselves. And then after that, once they have built their confidence, their self-esteem, they are ready to come on podcast or live stream or have their own TV show. I'm more than happy to provide you guys that, provide everyone that. I always say this is not my platform, it's our platform. It's something that universe gave that idea for me to do. And I thought, like, after all the ups and downs in the life, so many times I felt my life is done. I don't even need to live. But once this idea came to my mind, it was planted by the universe. I think this is the purpose. This was the higher purpose that I had to provide to the community, to our community. Did that answer your question?
Very much so. I'm almost like tearing up here a little bit. Thank you for sharing that. And as you talk and I look at all my wonderful panelists, I can see some potential interviews, I think, coming up, because I think that there's some really great stories here to share as well. Thank you for sharing that, Sydney.
Thank you.
And I'll toss it back over to Jazz. So I know your organization has lots of different kind of working pieces to it. And so how can folks, either allies or folks that are a part of our community, how can they get involved with Health Initiative for Men?
Well, most of Health Initiative for Men is known for our STI clinics. So if you need to get tested, please do. Everyone should be getting tested, regardless of your HIV or STI status. It's good to always do that. The other way is, we do have a lot of volunteer programs and ways that you can contribute to the community. So we do a lot of volunteers. We also have folks who are in counseling or becoming counselors, so they can also volunteer in that sense of taking on clients from us and then also take them on afterwards if they are fully employed after that. Other ways, we do, again, I encourage folks, if they have an idea for a community-based organization or a program, to pitch it to us and see if we are able to do it and then help you with that. Because, Health Initiative for Men is out here in Vancouver. I do a lot of outreach by myself in Surrey and so on. So it's nice to know that if there's other people out there providing for the community, because Vancouver is pretty much established. You pretty much know where to go and how to access certain resources, but it's folks that are now living out in Surrey, Abbotsford, all the way to pretty much Chilliwack, and so on and so forth, that they don't know what kind of resources to access or how to access them. So we want to be able to provide whatever we can and establish ourselves out there more. So we're always looking for volunteers. We're always looking for other organizations and other communities that want us present or have some sort of information from us there, because that'll get the word out. We are very much based on word of mouth. We don't do a lot of promotion and a lot of big explosive advertisements. But yeah, that's one other way. And then just whatever community-based volunteer method you can. We also do presentations. We do a lot of workshops as well. So if UFB wants to do a sort of presentation or a workshop, we have no problem coming in and talking about that. Condom packaging is still a good way for people to kind of open up. And you make harm reduction materials, condoms, harm reduction. We also do have harm reduction for safer substance use, which we also provide. We have a link on our website that lets you basically order, but unfortunately you would have to pick it up in Vancouver. If you did want to pick it up anywhere else, myself or my colleague Daniel could always drive out or transit somewhere and meet you and drop off those materials as well. So there's diverse ways of doing it. Contributing or helping out or just being an ally. It's just kind of figuring out what we can do for you and then vice versa.
I love that. I think that we need to all work. Maybe we got to get a Abbotsford version of Davie Street down here and have like a whole
I
area. I think it'd be amazing.
I totally agree.
Love it. Thanks, Jazz. And I will give it to Ashley this time. So for Student Life, I know from experience that there's always opportunities to get involved at Student Life, but how can we specifically reach out to PRLC?
Always, always. We always need humans, especially now, because everyone disappeared off the face of the earth for the last year and a half, Yeah, so Student Life is currently looking for folks to help out with orientation. That's usually a really good way to kind of get your foot in the door. PRLC specifically, we've already done our recruitment for this upcoming year. That being said, we do a lot of events. Student Life does a lot of events. We try to diversify and do them because UFV has a ton of campuses. And so we try to do them in more places than just Abbotsford because we recognize that's not only where students are. So yeah, come to events. If there are things that folks want to see, just shoot us an email, message us on social media, let us know. Bradley will make it happen. Everything will be great. We have a lot of, what's the right word? Leverage, I want to say. The PRLC is funded by Coast Capital Savings. So we can do some really cool stuff. And that's kind of outside of the realm of normal university life because we're externally funded and they are so about inclusivity and diverse programming. And so we can kind of take whatever ideas and make them happen, obviously in a safe way. And just another thing that I want to say for folks to, it's kind of get involved, but pay attention to who you're following on social media. Listen from queer folks, learn from them, pay them for what you are learning instead of being, can you just tell me all of the following things and I'm gonna make you do all this emotional labor, but give you nothing? Don't do that. We've learned, don't do that. And also, I really want to encourage people to really work on their language. That's such a huge piece of allyship, of building community, is just, pay attention. We all use hey guys, ladies and gentlemen, all this sort of stuff because it's so ingrained in us. And I find I always catch myself, but trying to use everyone, folks, all that kind of good stuff. Use they, them pronouns if you don't know who you're talking to or talking about. And yeah, that's just such a huge piece. And then yeah, go to the things, go to the drag shows, go to whatever is happening out in the world. It's Abbotsford and there's not a lot for folks that are out in the valley. Not a lot of stuff.
Not yet.
I mean,
we'll get there.
However, there are some things for those of us who aren't in Vancouver and have easy access to drag shows and the like. But yeah, go to the things and figure out who to follow on social media to find out where the things are happening. That is a huge piece. Follow us, follow at GoUFV, follow UFV PRLC. We'll tell you. We will tell you where the stuff is, where it's happening.
Follow all the things.
Follow
and I know on our at UFVSUS on Instagram, I know we have all of the links to all of the different groups as well. So if you want to take any of the panelists, or sorry, any of our attendees, if they want to take a look at that. And yeah, I can 10 out of 10, 100% go to a drag show. We had a drag show a couple before COVID, and our attendees was such a diverse population of people, some who had never even kind of seen a drag queen. And it was just absolute sparkly magic everywhere. And it was so much fun. And you have my word that we will do another one once the world starts to come back in person a little bit more, for sure.
You give Anita a call and she'll
exactly. Bradley, I'm going to jump over to you, my dear. So this is our last question, but it can be a bit of a bigger one. So I think that you're the perfect person to ask right off the bat. What does pride mean to you?
Loaded question, but pride means to me is living a life that is authentic and true to who you are inside without shame. And as a queer person, I struggle with my invisibility of my identity. Pride to me means being fully and entirely myself without feeling the need to turn part of myself off, depending where I am, who I'm surrounded with. Pride is the community saying, this is who we are and we're proud of it.
I love
Thank
that.
you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Simi, I'm not sure if you stepped away for a moment, but I'm wondering if you could speak. I know lots of the community that you and your folks work with. You definitely deal with lots of folks from our community and hear lots of different stories. So I'm just wondering from your own perspective, what does pride mean to you? And you're on mute.
Yes.
There we go.
Yes, I knew it. Now you can hear me.
Yes.
I think pride is often driven actually, from like by shame, because I felt I am not good enough. I am not, there's something missing. So I think, to me, in simple words, it's accepting who you are and being who you are. And because if you can do that for yourself, then you will do this to others also. That's how you're going to react and behave to others, towards others. If you feel like, this is who I am, I'm comfortable who I am, and then I think that's what it means to me.
Thank you. I'm going to jump outside of our main panelists here and actually turn it over to Bonnie. If you could just share with us what pride means to you.
Yeah, thank you. Loaded question, what pride means to me, right? Yeah. I kid you not, I actually went and like Googled this. I was like, what exactly, like, how do people define and understand pride? And like when we think about it, it's typically right outside of the queer community, oh, I'm proud, I'm prideful of something, right? And then I really thought about, okay, what about pride in terms of identity and what it means to me as, a queer person of color, right? And there's a lot about inclusivity and being able to have space and permission to be authentic and genuine, and a lot about finding community as well, right? Knowing that it's not just my own experience, but the lived experiences of those who have come before me, those who have paved the way, and how my actions, my choices, my decisions are also going to impact those around me and those to come. And so really being mindful of, just how I am prideful, I guess, and also humble of what it is, right? And so, yeah, that's my answer.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate that. Ashley, we'll jump over to you.
Sure. Similar to what other folks have said, I think it's really about the community being able to like show true selves and feel safe doing so. I think that's a huge component of it, and being able to be given that space and that place to do that. And then for myself, as someone who's not a member of the community, but I love Pride. It's like the best time. It's like Christmas. It's the best time of the year, and the weather's nicer. But for me, it's a reminder that showing allyship, like it's not a 1 month or like a 1 day sort of thing. Like, yeah, here's my rainbow flag, and now like whatever for the rest of the year. Like that's no bueno. So yeah, it's that reminder to think about like what folks go through on a daily basis, and think about a little reflection on what I can do to help folks the rest of the year, and give them that space and that place to be themselves and feel safe.
Thank you. Jazz, I will pass it off to you last but not least for what pride means to you.
Oddly enough, you think that like being out for, I think I've been out for almost 5 years now, and I thought that I could answer this question with ease, but it's still very complicated. I do have a lot of self-pride. It's taken me a long time to be actually okay in my own skin, my own like heritage, and my own being of, being a queer person of color, first generation, from an Indian background. And, it's still a struggle to say the least. I've had a lot of internalized homophobia, racism, body dysmorphia, and like a lot of hate for myself growing up, being like, oh, this isn't who I am, this isn't right, I shouldn't be like this. At the age of like, I think 15, I knew that I was gay, and I knew that like my life was basically gonna not be the same that my parents want for me. And it took almost till like 10 years afterwards that I was just kind of like, I can't really hide this. I can't really be this person. And, I have experienced a lot of other closeted Indo-Canadian folks who kind of lost that pride, lost that identity, and kind of indulged themselves in this like self-hatred of negative views. And they almost hated me for the fact that like I was kind of moving towards this different path that they didn't agree with, being shamed for being sexually active, or, being somebody who was very much more aware of their own identity rather than following this model view. So when I think about pride, I think about like what it means to be a person of color or a person in the queer community. And a lot of the times what I see is that cis white gay, that 20-something-year-old twink that's like super like fit, has like 1,000 followers on Instagram, who's always about like, yay, pride, but really aren't doing much. And I had to do a lot of research in the last like couple of years to be like, okay, well, why do I not feel like I belong? And from that, I found out like, a lot of what, cis white gay men kind of celebrate actually grew or developed through the underground scenes of BIPOC individuals, more inclusively trans Black women, who basically created this sort of like niche and this identity, this creativity, these languages. And it made me more appreciative, being like, what, a person of color, like we did everything that is now celebrated. So it's taken me a long time to be okay with my body, be okay with my heritage, be okay being gay. And, I still have a long way to go, but I'm very proud to be part of that journey. And I'm proud to be maybe a staple point for other people to be almost realize like, it's okay. And like, hopefully someone past me, beyond like the next generation, sees me as like this person of like hope, and then projects further into helping the rest of our community. When I speak of that, I mean like Indo-Canadians, because it's still very much backwards thinking. So yeah, pride basically just represents that, like progression forward, find myself, and yeah. Hopefully that answered it.
Yeah, my goodness. I want to thank each of you for taking the time to be so vulnerable and to answer that from your own kind of lens and perspective. I think that the group of panelists that we have here today are very, very diverse and serve very different communities, but also at the same time, I think serve a lot of the similar communities. So I'm very, very honored to have had the opportunity to bring all these great individuals here. And for those in attendance, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to listen to this. And I think to everybody's point, those who are showing up as their truest selves, I know for me that's been a really huge thing of kind of guiding a lot of the work that we do is really honoring those folks that are brave and making Brené Brown proud with their vulnerability and authenticity. So yeah, I really just want to, from the SUS team and just everybody, just really thank each of you for showing up here today as your authentic selves. I think that hearing your stories and seeing what is possible when you are really, really proud of who you are, I think it's going to really change a lot of people's perspectives on themselves, and hopefully start some really tricky conversations that normally weren't really just readily available to have. So yeah, thank you so much to each and every single one of you. I just want to remind folks who are in attendance that if you do have any other questions that you wanted to ask our lovely panelists, feel free to drop those in the Q&A section at the bottom there. While we're waiting for any of those to potentially come through, I'm just going to have one of my team members share their screen really quick, and we are going to do that prize draw for the Boardwalk Cafe. So Leanne, I will allow you to open the floor to any of our panelists. If there is any upcoming events that you've got that you would like to shamelessly plug right now, feel free to take the floor. Yeah, if anybody wants to take it away. Yeah, Jazz, go ahead.
Right now we are doing webinars as well. It's called Seasons of Pride. If you go to checkmount.ca, it should be at one of the first banners, or just look up prideseasons.com, and we'll have all of our webinars that are happening throughout, I believe, all of July and August. So check those out. We also have one on harm reduction materials, bigger than binary. So the concepts of like fetish, kinks, and identities, and also just generations of pride. And Spill the Tea is the one on harm reduction. And we do our best to include local performers and local folks throughout British Columbia. So have a look if you can.
Amazing. And I know my team just dropped the link in the chat there as well for anybody if they would like to grab that. Is there anybody else who would like to do a plug? Otherwise, I will happily take the floor because we have some Pride events for the rest of the week. Okay, so UFV Student Union Society, it is Pride Week. I know normally Pride is celebrated in June, but we did the Fraser Valley Pride and we did the same dates for that. So if you check out our website at ufvsus.ca/Pride Home, there's a list of all of the rest of our events that we're doing this week. So we have a class that we're doing hammer flowers, which I had never heard of until we booked this, but very, very cool. We're going to be doing pride shirts with some bringing in nature and incorporating that. So feel free to check that out. And we also have Emmett Michael performing as well. He is a trans man from a little bit out east. And so they will be performing for us on Friday. So we're really, really looking forward to that as well. And yeah, that's basically all I have for everybody today, unless there's any kind of closing remarks. Like I said, thank you so much to each of you for taking the time out of your schedules today to join us. And yeah, we will be posting this recording up online shortly. And yeah, happy Pride Week, everybody.